Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is April. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. In today's video, I'm going to be trying my best to create the sailor slippers, which is a very popular knitting pattern, but I want to be able to make it using yarns that are easily accessible here in Australia. Now, these were my first attempt at the sailor slippers using only yarn that was readily available here in Australia. I didn't use the recommended yarn from the pattern itself. That is entirely on me, but I will say that I've been doing a little bit of experimenting, and I think that I have found a way for me to be able to make the sailor slippers. So follow me on this journey. I will be using chapters in this video, so feel free to skip ahead, but I do feel as if I do need to give a little bit of a preamble to the yarn choices that I made. So please skip to this time if you don't want to hear me yap, but otherwise, if you want to hear me yap, if you just have me on in the background while you do your own knitting, feel free to just sit tight. As a little backstory, I am new to knitting. I am new to the different types of fibers and everything else that is used. So when I did keep seeing these slippers all over social media, I really wanted to recreate them. But one of the hurdles with this pattern is that it recommends the use of Drops Snow yarn. But when I was having a look at it, I would need to basically order this yarn either from overseas or from within Australia at like a higher kind of price point. Unfortunately, I do have ADHD and I'm a Taurus, so I'm stubborn and I'm impatient. So I didn't want to pay that much money and I didn't want to wait that long. I wanted the yarn in my hand, something tangible that I could like start knitting with right away. So what I had done at the time, and I explained this in my 3-month knitting video, I had found this yarn at Spotlight. This is the Kiki Merino wool. This is a 100-gram ball with 100 meters in it. This yarn recommends using 7mm needles, and the Sailor Slipper pattern recommends using 8mm needles. This was the closest that I could find at Spotlight for 100% wool, closest that I could find to the kind of, I guess, needle size that would be required. So I thought that they would be the same sort of thing. I guess what I didn't realize at the time is that with merino wool, it's nice. Like, I guess the fibers in the merino wool isn't so coarse. So no matter how many times I put these through the washing machine, there was no way that these were sufficiently going to felt together to give that felted look of the sailor slippers. The problem is that I bought so much of the Kiki Merino yarn because I thought that I would be able to make so many felted slippers for everyone in my life, and I thought it was going to be a great gift. I thought I was a genius, but I was just left over with so much merino yarn. It was not funny. And then if you either follow me on TikTok or if you saw it here on YouTube, I did create like a short form video about the fact that my boyfriend had put one of my knitted t-shirts through the washing machine and the dryer, and unfortunately it completely ruined the texture of the shirt itself. This is supposed to be the Tulster tee, which is supposed to be a very breathable, airy garment, and unfortunately it is now ruined. When I had posted my TikTok about the washer and dryer mishap, I had put it in the caption that like I was trying or going to try to like soak this with water and conditioner to try and see if it'll loosen up the fibers, and comments were very nicely pointing out the fact that, hey, you're not really going to be able to save this because it is unfortunately felted. Oh my god, felted, hello? The gears were spinning, okay? The gears were spinning. I thought that maybe the missing ingredient that wasn't allowing these guys to felt together was the fact that I was only putting them through the washing machine. I wasn't putting them through the dryer. Cue me knitting up a whole bunch of swatches, okay? I first knitted up 2 swatches. These were using the recommended needle size for the yarn itself. So these were using the 7mm needles. These, I put them through the washing machine at least 4 times. Again, they pretty much stayed the exact same size. They did not felt at all. Same with these 2 swatches. These were made with the 8mm needle size. Again, put them through the washing machine at the same time as these yellow ones, and they still weren't felting. So unfortunately, my experiment was wrong. It wasn't the dryer that was a missing ingredient that was keeping my merino wool from felting. Unfortunately, my merino wool just would not felt in the washing machine. I could probably, I don't know, rip it all apart and try to felt it, like wet felt it together if I wanted to make a freaking yellow hat or something like that. Like that's something I could do, but for the sailor slippers, it specifically was not felting. So I did do a little bit of Googling, and because the merino wool is so nice and soft. There aren't those sort of coarse fibers that are going to come apart and come back together in that washing machine process. So one of the recommendations that Google gave was to mix the merino wool with a coarser wool. Okay, so that's when this little swatch came along. I was too lazy to make a full swatch. This was made using the pure wool end twine, again from Spotlight, as well as the Abbey Road held together. Unfortunately, it did appear that only the wool end twine was like properly felting. You can still pretty much perfectly see the merino wool like strands in here. So again, it is just the merino itself that is not felting. I realistically should have just started with this in the first place because this is what I had knit my Tulster tee out of, and clearly the Tulster tee likes to become felted in the washing machine and dryer. And so back to the drawing board, using 8mm needles to hold two together, I was able to make a swatch that perfectly meets the gauge. Wah, 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 wah. If you've just skipped ahead to the end of my little experiment, that is what I'm going to be using to make the sailor slippers. These two yarns, easily accessible from Spotlight here in Australia. These are just the pure wool end twines. They're an 8-ply, 100% Australian wool. They are a little bit coarse, so that'll help in the washing machine. And this swatch is after it's gone through the washing machine and the dryer. It is perfectly felted together. I have a little mini one here as well. They were perfectly coming to the proper gauge swatch size that it needed to be. So now that I have my two felted gauge swatches here, I can easily go to Spotlight, pick up some pure wool end twine, oh, that doesn't feel like a real word anymore. I feel as if I'm saying ent wine, like from Lord of the Rings, the trees, the ents, and they're drinking wine. And now that I have my two swatches that are perfectly meeting the gauge that is needed by the sailor slippers pattern, I can go to Spotlight. I can pick myself up some funky colors, or as funky as I can get in like a natural fiber yarn. And I can try my hand at making these sailor slippers a second time. Yay, let's go! Unfortunately, I did not vlog a single thing. I did a click and collect at Spotlight, and I also went to a local yarn store haul. These are the colors that I picked up from Spotlight. Again, this is just 4 Seasons pure wool and twine yarn, 8-ply. I plan on holding 2 strands of the same color together in order to make my sailor slippers. So I got this green in the color pine, is a blue in the color blue, as well as a red in the color red, and then just a pure simple white. I like to get really adventurous with my color choices, and Spotlight like to get really adventurous with the color names. And then on the way home, I popped into my local independent yarn store. This is from the Wool Inn in Penrith. I did end up picking up 2 hanks of the Fiore sock yarn. So I got this ecru and I got this one. Looking at the tag, this is called Blue Bonnet, and I plan to use these 2 to make my first ever pair of socks. And I also picked up 2 sets of double point needles. These are the Knit Pro J'adore cubics, where they are made of wood and they're also square needles. She let me know like the wood needles are good because they're like a little bit grippy when you're doing socks on really small needles, and then also the square is supposed to be a lot more ergonomic. I gotta put this future sock project to the side because we're here to make slippers, baby. We're here to make slippers. But I did just want to give a shout out to Anita at Wool Inn. Thank you so much for winding my yarn. Speaking of winding yarn, I want to take these and I want to make 2 little balls out of each color. I got a lot of green, but I want to make 2 balls out of each color just to make it easier for myself to hold 2 together. So ready, set. I have completed 2 of the back panels, and when I look at them, I'm like, these are crazy big. But I guess if it kind of makes sense, if it's going to like wrap around your ankle, and then obviously it's also going to shrink in the wash when it starts getting felted. But yes, 2 panels. I'm going for white and blue stripes, and then I think it'll probably just be white on the bottom and then red, either red or green. I haven't really decided yet for the I-cord edge around the foothold. My partner right now is vacuuming the house because we are going out for dinner tonight, so I'm not sure how much knitting I'll get done tonight, but we're just going out to the pub for dinner, so I might take one of them with me with a couple of yarn. The only problem is that because I am holding 2 together, I worry that like the 2 I'm holding together will get tangled in my bag, but we'll see, we'll see. Sailor slippers, and this is what I have. So I showed you that I completed that back panel. I was able to pick up the stitches and knit across the front. I realized halfway through that I might not have enough blue to like properly make the stripes for like 2 slippers. So instead of doing the 4 stripes in each color, I did like the 4, 4, 4, 4, then made the change to doing 6 rows of white and 4 rows of the blue until you change to start making the back panel. So this is technically the left slipper that I'm making. I wove in the ends for this one already. I finished that off this morning, and then I started picking up the stitches for my second one. She does look like a little bit messy with like the color changes and the picked up stitches and everything like that, but yeah, I'm just working on that top panel. I'm not sure how much knitting I'll be able to get done today. I was also hoping to like finish this one today just so I'd be able to put them both in the washing machine, because it looks at the moment quite nice and sunny outside, and you know, I'm not sure how long that nice weather is going to be lasting for these to then be able to like dry. Yippee! Another update, I've completed the top panel of the second slipper, and I did completely misjudge how much yarn I would need for the blue because I have this much of the blue left. I could have maintained like the proper amount of stripes on it, and now I just got to start working on the sole of it, and then once I'm done that, I'll be able to seam them together. I find that the sole part is just like boring. I'm filming this in my laundry because I'm a little bit shy. But I finished knitting my sleepies. The most annoying part was sewing or seaming them together, but I've put my little applied I-cord edges. And now I'm in my laundry where I need to put them through the washing machine, but unfortunately the washing machine is occupied. I have to wait until it's free before I get to put these in the washing machine, but I am very, very excited. Okay, she's getting there. Da 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 Guys, I finished them. Yee! I finished them last night. Ended up having to put them through the washing machine 3 times in total before they got sort of the perfect size. I took a clip after the first wash and they were starting to get felted. The second time that I put them through, they were definitely a lot more felted, but they were just like a little bit too big. And then third time was a gosh dang charm. I feel like I am an absolute genius for swatching all these yarns and figuring out the combination of yarns here in Australia that can make these very, very popular slippers. I do want to do like a little bit of try on, but I haven't really been wearing them yet because I did go through and I put on some of this. This is just an anti-slip glue that you can put on the bottom of them. The patent itself does recommend a specific brand. It is something that is recommended to put on the bottom of these slippers just to give it a little bit of grip. If you're going to make these slippers, I would strongly recommend using some sort of anti-slip adhesive. I got this one on Amazon, and looking at the reviews for it, the reviews are pretty bad. So I might not necessarily recommend this brand, but I do recommend getting some sort of anti-slip adhesive. I realized just 2 minutes ago, I made a bit of a mistake when putting on the anti-slip. That is supposed to be an L in a really bad love heart. And then I have those little dots there. And then this side has an R. The problem is that I wrote left and right on it while I was looking at the slippers, looking at it from this angle when I was putting on the adhesive. So I put the L on this one, I put the right on this one. This is not the left foot. And this isn't the right foot. It should be this way around, but I've marked them completely wrong. If I were to compare my second attempt at these slippers to my first attempt at these slippers, overwhelmingly, the second attempt was the better one. I am so happy with how these turned out, and I can't wait to make more of them. I definitely want to go back, get some more colors. People's birthdays, people's Christmas is going to be coming up real soon. I can't wait to make everyone in my family a pair of slippers. Anyway, guys, I hope you found this video helpful, or at the very least entertaining, to watch me go through and make these slippers. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of me, and if you have any other, say, knitting suggestions or anything else you want to see from me, or anything you want to tell me, just let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for spending time with me today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye!